Is the 49ers Super Bowl window still open? They believe it is. They think with a few, changes to their coaching staff and maybe a few tweaks to their roster and some better injury luck, they'll be right back there. What do you think?
I think their Super Bowl winning window is closed. They can be relevant, but I'll leave a caveat with that. There's a key to opening it up again. Two keys. One, they have to have a monster draft. Like I'm talking not like this last year that people say was a great draft. No, it was a pretty good draft this past year. I'm talking a 1986 type of draft where they just, maybe trade back. They get a lot of players. They get a lot of starters. They get quality players. That's key number one. Key number two, all that won't matter until Kyle changes his philosophies. It just does not matter. It's not about his X's and O's. It's about his philosophies. If he continues to do the things that a few of us beat him up for and everybody else looks the other way, then it's not going to happen. It just won't happen. You can't have these clock management issues. You can't not have a hurry up offense when you're behind. That's just ignorant. You can't have conservative when it's 4th and 1 and you keep kicking field goals. All the things that Kyle had. You can't have roster politics. You need to play the best players. Whether they're young veterans or whether older veterans, play the best players. So all these things have not gone away for 8 years, and they can have a great draft and they can bring in this DC or that DC. But if Kyle continues to be the way he is, it's not going to happen, in my humble opinion. They won't.
I think it's interesting. Like there's two competing narratives with this team, and you'll hear it from different media members. I mean, I think most media members are looking at the Niners and saying, you know what? You can't overreact to one bad year. They had injuries. McCaffrey wasn't there. They were just in the Super Bowl. They went to 3 straight NFC championship games. Like, we have to give this team the benefit of the doubt just for those reasons. And I think a lot of other people look at them as like, yeah, that all checks out. But if you look at this team, that has all the hallmarks of a team that has peaked and is falling apart, that has a toxic culture. And I don't think they've really done anything to dispel that narrative at all. Like, you have to really give them the benefit of the doubt. But if you take that away and just look at what they've done the last 12 months, it's been horrifying. And I don't think that there really are any indications that they're going to turn it around, save Robert Saleh coming back and just infusing this team with all kind of optimism. But even then, it feels like turning back the clock to 2019. Hey, maybe we can recreate what we once had. Like, eventually you got to have some type of nod to the future. You got to get rid of Juszczyk. You got to get rid of Debo. You got to do something new, fresh and young.
Yeah, they have to, reinvest in themselves and self-analyze themselves. And I don't think they do that very often. They say they do, but they really don't. Because if you self-analyze yourself and saw the things that you did wrong or didn't do well, you would fix it. You keep talking about like, okay, we're going to get a new special teams coordinator in here. Who cares? Why? You're not going to practice it. You never have. You brag that you haven't. So what difference does it make what coach you get in there? And here's the one big thing that none of us talk about. Niner fans, the media, everything, always focus on what the Niners are doing. They have blinders on. They're not taking into consideration that the competition for the Niners in the NFC, the Eagles, the Rams, the Lions, the Commanders, these are 4 teams that have proven guys in personnel that make good selections and good picks. You don't think they're not going to get better? They're already probably past the Niners now, and you think they're just going to stay still while the Niners all of a sudden redo this, redo that, get healthy, and they're going to just pass everybody? No. Those teams have good personnel people. They're going to probably draft well. They're going to make good free agent decisions. And quite frankly, they're younger and hungrier. So we can't just dismiss and focus on what the Niners are doing. We have to look at what the Niners competition is doing. And right now they're doing it better.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, the Niners look at their schedule. Oh, it's a weak schedule next year. And the division's weak. Well, you were 1-5 in the division this year. You had problems with Seattle. You lost twice to Arizona, who will be better next year. They have more cap space than the 49ers, and they don't have to spend it all on their own players. And then let's talk about the Rams. The Rams look way better than they did 2-3 months ago. and not because of their offense. We know that Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, really good trio of players. Cooper Kupp looks kind of washed, but their defense, my goodness, their D-line from Jared Verse to Braden Fisk to Kobe Turner and Byron Young, 4 across the board. Problems.
They're
and
young.
The Niners don't have anything like that. They have Nick Bosa and Journeyman. And Drake Jackson. A lot of the deal.
And then they're them.
It's a big difference. How are the Niners gonna bridge that gap? Where's their D-line?
Yeah, these other teams, their core and their best players are younger guys, and the Niners' best players and core are older guys. So this whole talk about, we're going to get healthy or not. How? When, it's proven that older players get injured more. So you're going to keep the same core. You're going to keep going back to Juice. You're going to keep going back to Debo. You're going to keep having Brendel at center because you like them. That's the one phrase I can't stand that I hear at these press conferences and some of these other content creators talk about. Well, the Niners like this guy. They like that guy. Why? He's not that good. Why do they like him? Or they dislike somebody like J.P. Mason, like Cowie, like Jalen Graham won't see the field because for some reason they don't like them. I don't know why, but that goes back to my point. Play the best players.
I just want to look up real quick the defensive linemen the Niners have drafted the last few years, because the Rams got those 4 guys I'm talking about in the last 2 drafts. Verse and Fisk were this year, and Young and Turner were the year before. So you can put together a dominant defensive line in 2 years if you know what you're doing. And last year, the Niners drafted no defensive linemen. The year before that, they drafted Robert Beal and called it a day. The year before that, they drafted Drake Jackson and Kalia Davis. The year before that, they drafted no defensive linemen, none. Are you kidding? The year before that, they drafted Javon Kinlaw, and that was it. The year before that, they drafted Bosa. So since they drafted Bosa, the only defensive linemen they've drafted are Javon Kinlaw, Kalia Davis, Drake Jackson, Robert Beal. My God. Holy hell. That's awful.
That's a lot of swing and misses. And these other teams that I mentioned, Grant, they know who they each have their individuals that are going to be making the call. The Eagles, it's Howie Roseman. The Rams, it's Les Steed. The Commanders have Adam Peters. Who else? The Lions have Brad Holmes. So those organizations and teams know there's one person that's making the decision. The Niners, we don't know. We've been talking about this for years. We don't know who is picking draft players. Is it Lynch? Was it Peters? Is it Kyle? Kyle has his name written all over a lot of these picks that have missed a lot. That's why I laugh when I hear people saying, well, Kyle built the roster. No, Kyle missed on a lot of his choices. The other people.
Tom, look at the defensive linemen they've drafted other than freaking Bosa. My God. And you look at the Eagles, their whole D-line of guys they drafted. The whole D-line.
Yep. And
the Rams too.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted Kyle out of the building. That's why I did not want to fire him. I'm a big proponent of trading him. I think the Bears would give up 2 first-round picks. I think other organizations would give up. Talent, to me, wins games. Coaches tweaks and helps things here and there. But I wanted Kyle not only out of the building from the coaching point of view, because I think that's a little bit overrated. I wanted his voice out of the building, because if it's just Lynch or whoever is in there, a better personnel, a better scouting person, I think they would draft better. But as long as Kyle is there with his power and his Julius Caesar tendencies, he's always going to have a voice, and there's going to be reaches and there's going to be misses if he's there.
Agree.